All right. Very good. Here we go. Yes. Okay, good. Yes. All right, let's go back. Here we go. The blessing that God gave, that Yaakov gave to Zvulun. Zvulun and Yisachar, they were the two sons that were born from Leah. Remember, Leah went and she brought Dudaim and she gave it to Rachel, and Rachel said, "You can take my turn tonight." And if she eventually gave birth to these two sons, Zvulun and Rachel. So it says that Zvulun, he went out and made money. He lived on the port town. You say that's the port of Haifa, very good. And he made money and gave the money to Yisachar. He provided the money for Yisachar, and Yisachar, they would work and learn Torah. That's the blessing that eventually Moshe would give to them as well. Like it says, rejoice, Zevulun, when you go out and others to make money, and Yisachar will sit in the tents. Zebulun went out to make money, and Yisachar would learn Torah of Torah. Yisachar was a Chomer Gorim, was like a large boned donkey. Rovetz bein mishpatayim, that he crouches like between the cities, between the boundaries. Yisachar, it says, it was a Chomer Baal Atzmos, a donkey, Baal Atzmos, that had thick bones, Sovel Ol Torah, and he can bear the yoke of the Torah like a strong donkey, that you can put a lot on top of him, a big heavy burden. And it says this is like a donkey that he goes day and night, and he doesn't sleep in a house. And when he really wants to rest, so he sort of bends down between the boundaries of the cities, and then afterwards he goes to do business. Let's do the next one, then we'll come back to this. What about Yisachar? It says, Vayar menucha ki tov, he saw rest, that it was resting to rest, to lay down, and it was good. And he saw the land, that it was pleasant, and he tilted his shoulder in order to carry. And he was made for, for hard work. Okay, what's this talking about? This is talking about learning Torah. Rashi said he saw that his portion of the land was blessed and that it gave a lot of fruits, and therefore he tilted his shoulder to carry what? The yoke of Torah. And he will be for all of his brothers, Lamas Oved. What does it mean, Mas Oved? That he would decide for them laws of the Torah and make with the Eruv is, etc. Like it says, Bnei Yisachar, Yodea Bina Le'itim. That Yisachar, they were the ones that would determine when the months are, when the times are, how to figure out when the holidays are, to know when the Jews should do what the Jews should do. The heads in the times, Me'itim Rosh Sanhedrin. Some of them were the heads of Sanhedrin, and all of the other Jews would be conducted according to them, because that's the essence of the Jewish people, is the Torah, to go according to the Torah. So they would, of course, the Torah on its own has no meaning, right? It has no meaning on its own. We've talked about that a lot of times. Even the 10 Commandments, don't kill. What does it mean? Don't kill bacteria. Maybe it doesn't say don't kill people. And Shabbat, what does it mean? You should just keep the Shabbat. What does that mean? Whatever you want to do, you do. So it says, no, there's all these laws and also monetary laws. The Yet Shichmo, and he inclined his shoulder. What does it mean? He brought down, he inclined his shoulder. Like it says, he brings another. Onkelos, though, translates it in a different way. He interprets this whole thing in a different way. He said that he put his shoulder down to bear war, fighting, and to conquer other places which were on the boundary. And the enemy was conquered underneath him. Because you have to remember, each one of the tribes, there were 7 years when Yahushua took the Jews into Israel. 7 years they fought. And they defeated all the non-Jews that were living there. Because the land had been promised to them by God. Let's see, though, what the Kli Yakar says here, right in the end, that he saw resting, that it was good. Ein kinyan Torah talui b'tenua, because purchasing the Torah cannot be acquired if you're always moving around, like money. Money, you have to move around and find new clients and new businessmen and new sellers and business from here. You buy here, you sell there. Alarov, usually in business, you find it from far away. But getting the Torah, no, a person is not bodily movement. The effort has to be made with your soul, with your mind. For this reason, the Torah was given on Shabbat. It says that Mount Sinai, when at Mount Sinai, the Torah was given to the Jews, it was Shabbat. Everyone agrees the Torah was given on Shabbat. And the earth, King Ne'ima, the land of Israel, it says that the land of Israel is pleasant for learning Torah. The air of Israel makes you wise. And that's what it means that he inclined his shoulder to lift up the yoke of the Torah. Even though the Torah, receiving the Torah, this is more important than making money, because the Torah, it says the profit, spiritual profit that you get from the Torah, and also the physical, is better than anything else. But nevertheless, when Yaakov gave blessings, he blessed Zvulun first before Yisachar. Why? Because it says, if there is no money, there can't be any Torah. You can't learn Torah if you're tired. This is a lot of people tried to do. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, it says that he just sat and learned Torah all the time. He didn't do anything else. And others provided for him. So other people thought, well, I can do that. I'll try that also. It's pretty good. Instead of going to business and getting all involved in business, I'll just learn the Torah all the time and I'll be involved in that. That's the best thing in the world. So it says a lot of people tried like that, like him, and it didn't work out. They didn't. If there's no kemach, there's no Torah. If you haven't first got what to eat or drink, then how can his limbs be strong enough or be healthy enough in order to learn the Torah of God? Therefore, that, by the way, is one of the main things of yeshivas. They say in Chabad that the yeshiva actually opened up on the 15th day of Elul, but it actually opened up on the 18th day of Elul. So what does it mean? Officially, it opened up on the 15th day of Elul. People could come and learn. But the kitchen opened up on the 18th day of Elul. That's when it officially, a kitchen, you have to have money. Therefore, Hikdim Zvulun comes first, that even though he went far away to bring his food, but he brought it in order that Yisachar would be able to sit and learn Torah. And also Yisachar, he gave his portion of Torah to Zvulun. That, namely what? That he gets like a portion of the service of Zvulun goes to his credit. That's what it means, Yelamas Oved. So we learned Yom Dan. Dan Yadin Amo, Dan will judge his people, Ka'achad Shiftei Israel, like one of the tribes of Israel. What does it mean? This is, he will take the revenge of the Pelishtim. This is in the days of Shimshon. Ke'echad, like one of the judges of Israel, that Shimshon, Samson, he will be like David. It says the Shimshon, he took revenge. He killed enemies like King David did. This is the prophecy. And also we can explain that what does it mean he will be like one of the tribes of Israel? He will be like the special one, namely David, that he came from Yehuda. He'll be a leader just like Shimshon was. This is a very nice Ramban talking about what happened in the Palestine. They took out his eyes and etc. of Samson. But nevertheless, he was a judge, he was a king, and he ruled Samson. This is the judgment that he's going to judge the people. Here we have an interesting one from, let's see if we can get this in here. It says he will be nachash, like a snake on the road, shififon, like a poisonous snake, ale orech, in the way, that he bites the heels of the horses, and the one who rides on it falls backwards. This is one type of a snake. And here's another thing. He bites the feet of a snake. That's like what Samson did. So we find in Samson, it says, V'lafet et shnei amudei atavech. It says the same thing, that he pushed the two big pillars of this huge building that everyone is in. Everybody, the famous Samson, that he pulled down the whole house. And there were, says, all the people that were inside, amudei atavech, and everyone that was on the roof of this big house, however strange how temple it was, of the Baal. And Unkla says that his powers were like a snake, that you cannot be healed from it. And that's why it says a chorman is a type of a snake, because it makes a cherem, it takes everybody out of the world. Here it says about when Samson, when he killed people, he killed all these people. This is when Samson himself died, right? He said, God, just give me one time more time. So it says, this is what happened. It was the 3,000 people were on just the roof of this place. And the whole thing fell backwards, like a horse falls backwards. So the whole place fell down as though a snake bit it. And that's the same thing that happened over here. The whole thing lifted up, the whole building lifted up and fell on all these 3,000 people, and everybody died. That's in addition to all the people that were inside as well. And finally, it ends up with a strange blessing. For your salvation, kiviti Hashem, I hoped God. This is in the Torah. What exactly is it referring to? It says, for your salvation, I wait God. Says Rambam that Yaakov is prophesizing that the Palestinians, the Palishtim, they will take out Samson's eyes. And finally, in the end, he was going to say, remember me, God, just one more time, and he'll get his energy back. Here's an interesting thing from the Ramban. It says there were no judges of Israel that what happened between when the Jews came into Israel until they built the first temple was 440 years. In this whole time, there were no kings. There were only what they called the judges, shoftim. And there was always enemies. It was always the same story. The Jewish people would do sins. They would cry out to God. God would send some special person. He would be the judge. He would judge everybody. And then everybody would say, we're sorry. Would they do tshuva? And then they would make a big war with their enemies and destroy them. Gidon was a famous one, and Dvorah with Sisro was a famous one. In any case, Shamgar, in any case, but there was none of the judges that killed as many people as Samson did. That's why he's called like a snake. Haya Hashem im hashofet v'hoshiam miyad oivim. It says that God, he was with this judge, and Samson, and he saved them from their enemies all the day that he was there. And he was the last of the judges. Samson was the last of all of them. After Samson came along Shmuel the prophet, and he chose Saul, King Saul, because Shmuel was a prophet. He wasn't one of the judges. And he didn't fight battles like the judges did, like the Shoftim did. In his days, Malchul Malachim, then Shmuel, he made kings, like the prophet saw before. Ki nifsaka Omer Yeshchad, then as soon as the judges stopped, and they were the ones that stood up and actually fought against the enemy, so now he has to say, God, it's out of our hands. Now only you can help us, God. It can't be anymore that the judges or our army are going to do the job. That only you can save us, not this judge. Because God, when you save us, it'll be a salvation forever. I just wanted to jump over to one thing. Let's just jump over here. One thing. Then after that, he gives a blessing to Gad, gives a blessing to Asher, gives a blessing to Naphtali, gives a blessing to Yosef. Yosef gets a big blessing, and then he gives a blessing to Benjamin. And then he dies, and that's what I want to get to, this part about him dying. Yosef gets a nice long blessing. And then after that, Benjamin. Benjamin is the last one. Good? Okay. And then we have Yaakov dying. Now here we have something interesting. And Yaakov finished commanding all of his sons, and he gathered his feet into the bed, Vayigva, and he began to die. Yosef Elamav, and he was gathered to his people. But interesting enough, it doesn't say that he died. Usually it says Vayigva Vayamos. Vayigva Vayamos. Says Rashi, Vayasef, he put his feet, gathered his feet, Vayigva Vayamos, but death it doesn't say. And the rabbis say Yaakov Avinu didn't die. That's what he says, Ram. Now here we have an interesting Ramban. It's a little bit long. I don't know if we can get into this, but we're going to do it anyway. Let's try it. So it's a very interesting thing. This all comes from this Gemara in Tainis. The Rebbe brought it down a lot of times. And the Gemara says, what do you mean he didn't die? First of all, he said he was going to die. And then after that, he said, Hine anochi meit. He said, I'm going to die. Not only that, it says, in the later, we'll see, the coming sentences, it says that they eulogized him, and they embalmed him, and they buried him. Right? It says, Chantu chantayo saftu savdaya. It says that this is what's going on. So the Gemara says it just looked like they did, but they didn't really. It looked like he was dead. It looked like he was dead, but he really wasn't dead. And there's some of the explanations, I think Rashi is one of them, says that really that's what it was. He really wasn't dead. It just looked like it. So it says, Mesa, death was not said. And the rabbis say in the Gemara that Yaakov actually didn't die. And the rabbis say, according to our rabbis, according to these opinions, Yaakov, he mentioned, that's the lesson of Rashi, I'm sorry, that's Rashi. But it's not so understood because Yaakov himself, he said he's going to die. Right? We're going to see in another couple sentences, Yaakov is going to say, right, another paragraph, Yaakov is going to say, I'm sorry, this was previous. This was earlier. Yaakov said, behold, I am dying, and God will be with you. So how can we explain that Yaakov himself said he was going to die? And here it says, the rabbis say he didn't die. A couple of explanations. First of all, maybe he didn't know. Or he didn't know that he wasn't going to die. He thought he was going to die. Up to then, everybody died. Who didn't die? Everybody died. Or maybe he didn't want to just give honor to himself. He didn't want to say, I'm not going to die. Like it says, the brothers, that's why it says the brothers saw that their father died. because lahem, to them, he died. It seemed that everybody thought he died. Or maybe Yaakov, maybe they did not know at all. Maybe they really thought he was dead, but in fact he wasn't. And this is this medrash, because what is this whole thing? Did he die? He didn't die. What's it talking about? What do we care? It says because the souls of tzaddikim, they are always bundled in the bundle of life. And this encloses them all of their days. And this is what's called a second garment that can never be removed from them, so that they'll be naked like Yaakov. Or maybe they can put it on. In other words, they have an eternal body that stays with them forever. The Yuvan Inyan, we can understand what it says in Shabbos and also Ketuvos. It says, what it says over in Kesuvos, and this is how it finishes the Sefer Breshis, to tell the new things, Beterem hatitzmach de belavavos, the Yotzer call Reshis Rochev Aravos, Tehilos, Rabos Vahodos, Lavavos. That we're going to tell God's miracles over here. Valonet Kanu Alila, so that we won't make any mistakes. And God will reveal all the secrets, and he'll bring to the light these deep thoughts, which will bring us to the path of justice and righteousness. And so therefore, let us finish praising the praises of God and end of Breshis, which is the book of Yetzirah, of how God created the world and how God made the world brand new and how God makes every creation, and what the fathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov did, that they are something like something like God in relating to their offspring, because everything that happens is just giving us a hint of what's going to be in the future. In the future, it says, one second, this is what I wanted to get to. Because the Jews, they were in a land that wasn't theirs, and they were going to go into the desert to Mount Sinai, and then they were going to make a tabernacle, and then God would rest his Shekhinah on them, and then would return all of the good qualities of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that was the sod of God, to them. Then they would be a chariot to godliness, that then would be the true redemption. So therefore, it finishes this book, and with the idea that God will be with them always. In other words, that what? That Yaakov Avinu didn't actually die. He was actually always alive. And this will be the end result of also of the Jewish people, that will reveal this eternal life in the physical world. That's the end of the book of Bereshit. Let us learn a Mishnah.